Fox 13 Plus 1020 here in Tampa Bay, taking a live look over our Sky Tower cam, which faces the downtown Tampa skyline. You can see cranes, you can see more buildings coming up, so much development in Tampa. And if you feel like just about everything in Tampa Bay is costing a lot more than it did a few years ago, well, the numbers are backing you up. Consumer prices here have climbed about 37% since 2019, according to a recent Fox Business article that came out. And that's the biggest increase among the major metro areas tracked by the federal government. So why has Tampa been hit so hard, and what can families actually do about it? Well, we want to welcome in live to the conversation right now Travis Mueller, founder and CEO of Union Grove Capital. Travis, thanks so much for being with us. How are you?
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing great, Regina. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, so obviously, I feel like it's been pretty obvious that the price of groceries and just living and, doing your thing around Tampa has gone up. But when this article said about 37% of an increase is what was factored into everyday terms for us. Can you explain that a little bit? What does it mean for a Tampa Bay family?
Yeah, so if we put some math to that, 2019, let's just say a household was living at $5,000 a month in expenses. Well, if you forward progress that to today at 37%, that's about 6850 or so. That's $22,000 more per year that we need to just live that same lifestyle today versus 2019 with no change, period.
Wow. It sounds like a lot in retrospect. And I feel like maybe you don't always notice it when you're just paying for something here and there. But why have prices risen more in Tampa Bay than other major metro areas, do you feel?
Well, I think there's three things rolling here. Number one, we might be the best city in the country. I'm a Tampa guy. I've been here through all of this rise for many years. But, the demand straight away is huge. We've got the sunshine, we've got all the weather, we've got a lot of things going on. And if you've been here and seen the development of the metro area with different neighborhoods, with the gaslight and armature, and it's starting to look and feel like a city like Boston, a walking city. And people want that. They want to go there. And, the second thing is that insurance is a big one. So if you look at the average numbers on insurance for a home, it's like $8,000 a year. That's incredible. Looking at that pre-2019, very, very different numbers. And the third is going to be that we lived pretty cheap here in Tampa. We had it very good for, I think, many years. Could you imagine, Regina, can you imagine $100 a square foot to go build a house today?
I know. Yeah. Actually, ironically enough, not to get personal here, but my husband, when right out of college, we were just dating. He bought a house right out of college for like $250,000. And I can't even tell you what we sold that for just to developers. And I know this could be a real estate question, but even just the housing market, can you elaborate a little more on how that's gone up?
Well, I'm one of those people too. I felt it, the upside of it, but think about housing, this can be a blessing, and it can also be maybe not so much, because taxes come into that equation too. When people think about their housing, what it was before versus what it's assessed at today, it's a different story on the tax bill. So that can be a great thing for some people when they think about the equity that they've built up over their real estate over the years, especially, post 2019. But also from the tax part of that, it could be not so much a blessing because the taxes are increasing and people may not be prepared to pay those tax bills either. So, real estate has been a big part of all of this.
Yeah. And I want to talk about inflation here, kind of going off of that. When we talk about, seeing the biggest increase here since 2019, does it not currently have the country's highest annual inflation rate in Tampa? Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, I think there's two ways. And I'll put it into context. Imagine we're climbing a hill. So if you're climbing a trail on the hill, what we've already climbed is that, let's say 37%. So the altitude is already set. What is it? That's a new floor. So where we go from here, that's the other part of the story. And while we might actually be a little bit lower than a country average, I think we're sitting at 3.2%. The reality of that ever going down, and thinking about are we going to feel the same pricing that we felt in 2019 ever again? I think that's not realistic at all. So the rest of the trail is the steepness. And is that 3%? Is that 4%? Those are the things that we'll be watching and trying to offset our lives.
I know. And I mean,
is our gut.
we can't even mention the fact, I mean, I've noticed inflation has technically slowed overall from its peak. So, I mean, why don't people feel much relief?
I think because the word you just said, feel. Because people go on feel, they're not getting up every morning and saying, let me look at the data and the numbers today. That's just not the way people live. So they're going on like, how are they feeling? Well, if they're getting a paycheck once a week or every 2 weeks, that's not happening that often, but they're feeling the price at the pump or, the price at the grocery store daily. And that feeling just hurts.
No, you're absolutely right. Okay, so what would you say, as we all feel this inflation in our everyday lives, what are some realistic changes families can make to protect their budgets without completely having to change their lives?
Okay, so we always think like it comes from planning first because when we have a plan, we can now execute to a plan and we can design our behaviors and our discipline around a plan. So one of the things that we as people often do is we try to attack just one thing. But when you think about um, our financial lives, our financial futures, it's not off of just one thing. There's really 5 things that we're always thinking. It's income, it's investment, it's protection, it's estate, and it's tax planning. And if we're only looking at the tax aspect, then what's happening with the rest of these things? Or if we're looking at a few of these and maybe we have some great professionals involved there, what's happening in between these things? So it's to start thinking about, if I could give a practical idea here, maybe we go back to putting pen to paper and say, well, what were my expenses like in 2019 and where am I feeling it today? And then, looking at these 5, I'll call them the 5 pillars and saying, okay, how does my income look? What's my investment strategies? What are my risk tolerances to be able to invest? And, I won't say them all again, but really it's to connect the dots on all 5 of these pillars. And wherever we see leaks, we've got to take practical actions to prevent those leaks.
Yeah, yeah, and you can trickle in, certain things day to day, and I think that's a great plan of attack is not to make it too broad, but to just do the little things. Travis, thank you so much for all of your insight. We really appreciate you, and we'd love to talk to you again soon. Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Regina. I
All
appreciate
right,
it. Thank
take
you.
care,
Bye-bye.
take care, bye bye.